Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a great pleasure to be here, and if I had to use one word to describe the region, it would be wow. I envy each and every one of you for being able to wake up every morning to that stunning view. I was saying last night that I think those of you who live here, it's very inspirational. You must have very productive days, and all the stress would be melted away in the evenings when you watch the waves and the mountains. And then you add the warmth and the friendliness of the people here and the hospitality. Well, if you're looking at tourism, I got to tell you, you got a winner, because this is my second time here, and I will be back. It's just a lovely spot, and I'm really enjoying it. Now, today, before I get into my presentation, I just want to, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. How many people here have been to Canada? And raise your hand. Okay. How many have a son or a daughter that's been to Canada or is going to Canada or has a link there, is studying there? Okay. How many have a relative in Canada? How many would like to go to Canada? And last but not least, how many people here have a business or investment link with Canada? Okay. Well, that actually ties into my presentation in a nutshell, because what it shows is that the links between Ireland and Canada are extensive. They're broad, they're deep, they're long-lasting, they're historical, and they are continuing to expand. Now, what I want to do today, I've got a very short time period, and they tell me they'll red flag me as I get close to 15 minutes, so I'm going to try and streamline it a little bit. I'm not going to go through each slide. I will touch on some of the main points, and then I do have brochures and information on the table at the back for people who want further detail on the trade and investment side, and I'd be happy to meet with anybody on a one-on-one here or arrange a phone call later. But what I want to do over the next few minutes, I want to take a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about what's happening on the Irish-Canada trade and investment links. I was here last year, so this time I'm just going to do a bit of an update, because I don't want to take too much time going through the whole bit. I want to talk also about the Canada-European Trade Agreement, the CETA, touch briefly on the embassy in Dublin and where we are and what we can do for you. And then I want to take a couple of minutes and talk about visiting Canada and tourism. And if we have time, I'd love to answer some of your questions, because I know some of you have questions on tourism. So there you go. Our countries enjoy a very strong trading relationship. Canada is very much a trading nation. It's estimated that 1 out of every 5 Canadian jobs is directly tied to exports. We are an exporting country. I've often heard from many of our political masters that exporting is in our blood. It's part of our DNA. And that, in fact, is very much the same for Ireland, because your export sector is what is driving your economy right at the present time. So trade between Canada and Ireland is very important to both of our countries. Even during the recession, the trade and investment links between Ireland and Canada have remained vibrant and very robust. Two-way trade in 2010 was 1.7 billion euros, with Canadian exports to Ireland at 238 million euros, and you guys are doing a lot better than we are. You're sending more to us. You've sent us 1.5 billion. Part of my job is to kind of balance that out, get more the other way. Major Irish exports to Canada include medical devices, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, and we love your Guinness and your Irish whiskey. One of the things that I wanted to highlight today is the fact that in virtually every sector there is great Canadian capability. So if you are looking for new products, if you're looking for new procedures, processes, we urge you to look to Canada. I also want to mention that in addition to trade and investment links, we also have a great deal going on between the two countries on science and technology. There are over 40 MOUs between universities here in Ireland and in Canada. There are numerous linkages between think tanks and research institutions, and these are expanding on a daily, if not hourly basis. There are great links, and I know you have some academics here today from various universities. So a great deal going on between the two. On the investment side, again, very strong. Ireland is the fourth largest destination for Canadian investment abroad. So that's very significant given the size of the country. Right now, there's about 15.5 billion euros of the Canadian investment here into Ireland. And there are about 100 Canadian firms that have a presence here. Now, there are many more firms that are doing business here, but that's the firms that actually have a physical presence in Ireland. On the Irish side into Canada, you have 850 million euros on our side of the pond, and there are about 50 companies with about 65 offices. So why Canada? Well, in addition to the traditional links, we're a huge market. We're a market of 34 million people. We have low business taxes, an innovative workforce, and a strong track record of doing business. We're also part of the NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which is a good jump-off point into all of North America. We find that many of our Canadian companies that are here in Ireland look at Ireland as a jump-off point into the EU zone, and Irish companies that come to Canada do so because they're looking at the whole of the NAFTA market. Our location. Within 2 hours of the Canadian border, you can go almost anywhere. There are fabulous rail, highway, air links. You're into the US, you're into northern Canada, which also has tremendous opportunities. So it's a great location to do business. I want to talk a little bit about the CETA. How many people here have heard of the CETA, the Comprehensive European Trade Agreement? Okay, only 2. All right. In 2009, Canada entered into negotiations with the European Union for one of the largest trade agreements that we have ever embarked upon. And it is going to virtually expand trade with all European nations dramatically. The agreement now is in its final stages of negotiation, and they are expecting that it will be completed by the end of 2012. Right now, we export over $49 billion to the EU, and services, goods and services imported from the EU are $55 billion, with investment two ways of $294 billion. So there are important benefits on both sides of the relationship. It's estimated that once the agreement is signed, it will increase bilateral trade between Canada and the EU by $38 billion. So for us, that means approximately a 20% boost in trade, roughly $12 billion annually in Canada, which would be equivalent to about 80,000 new jobs and about $1,000 extra income a year for the average Canadian family. Now, those are the stats on the Canadian side, but obviously, on the flip side, it will be a benefit to members of the Eurozone, including Ireland. Thus, there are numerous potential opportunities for Ireland under the Comprehensive European Trade Agreement. And that would be in all areas of trade, whether it's agriculture, whether it's ICT, whether it's health sciences, whether it's value-added products, life sciences, whether it's services, and also, of course, on the investment side, and again, on the science links. So this is something that is really dramatically going to enhance the links between our two countries and between Canada and the EU generally in the whole area of trade and investment. And as I mentioned earlier, there is significant buy-in from both sides to conclude the negotiations and have an agreement in place by the end of 2012. Moving on to myself and my team in Dublin, I just want to briefly tell you a little bit about the embassy in Dublin. We do all the traditional services of an embassy, but my particular area is the trade and investment side, and we're part of the Trade Commissioner Services. We have 150 offices worldwide, so our network is large and extensive, and we're also plugged into 18 regional offices across Canada. So if you have a question related to trade, if you're looking for sourcing something from Canada, if you're looking for market intelligence, you know where to find us, and I have my cards at the back, so we're happy to talk to you. And I'm just going to move on and talk to you a little bit about visiting Canada. Every year, over 35 million people visit Canada. It is a vast country, and I know a number of you here today are more interested in the tourism side. So I wanted to just briefly indicate that there is tremendous opportunities, and highlight how you can find out information. If you go to, if you want to Google or go to the internet, just type in Visit Canada and you will find interactive websites that give you access to information on each and every province. It is from one end of the country to the other. If you were to drive, it would take you over 5 full days to drive. It's a vast country with everything from mountains to prairies to lakes to beaches to skiing to shopping to northern lights. You name it, it's there for you. Whether you're going to visit family, whether you want cultural tourism, whether you want ecotourism, adventure tourism, we have it all. And there are 6 Canada-Ireland Chamber of Commerces across the country. You're going to be hearing from one of my colleagues a little later this morning. So there are natural connections there. If you don't have family there, if you want to meet the Irish diaspora, the links are already there. So it's a tailor-made opportunity. And we do know that very many Canadians come here to Ireland. One of the things that we're working on is an air access initiative. And we are trying to get direct air links to Ireland year-round. Right now there are direct links roughly from April to September. We want to extend that over the winter, and there is a committee that is set up of public and private sector that is working very hard towards that goal, and we do see that happening hopefully in the next year or two. So that will dramatically increase not just the trade and investment opportunities, but the potential for tourism on both sides. Now, because they're giving me the warning here, I'm going to skip through the rest of this. What I will offer to do, I'm originally from Winnipeg, right in the center of the country. My home base, though, when I'm back in Canada is Ottawa. I've crisscrossed the country many, many times. So if people have either trade or investment questions, or if you have tourism questions, come and chat with me over the lunch hour, over the coffee break. I'm happy to answer your questions or to point you in the right direction where you can find the information. What I will say, last but not least, is that for those of you that are looking for visas, we don't do the visas out of our embassy in Dublin. The visas are handled through our High Commission in London, but there is a direct link, so we can provide you information on that link. So on that note, what I will say is you are very welcome in Canada. We hope to see you there. And I've been trying hard to practice my Irish, so I hope I get this pronunciation right, and if I don't, forgive me. But Gutermach, Slante nach Foy. Thank you.